Good evening, race fans. Welcome to tonight's race here in the Freaky Deaky Racing League. We're at Kansas Speedway for tonight's action. And alongside me, as always, is Tom Richter.
Good evening, race fans, and good evening, Arie, and welcome to the virtual heart of America, Kansas Speedway, as the Freaky Deaky Racing League drivers make their way out here tonight for the round of 12, race number 2 of the round of 12, and 12 championship eligible drivers continue their hunt for a championship after 134 laps out here tonight. Arie, we come to Kansas Speedway, and a lot of times at Talladega, Daytona, road courses, we talk about the great unknown and the unpredictability. When we come to Kansas Speedway, it's kind of the same story to be told because of the different lines that the drivers can run out here at Kansas Speedway.
That's right. There's a lot of different lines you can run throughout the corners here in Kansas, especially as the runs go on and these tires start to wear. I think early on in the runs, you're going to see everyone battling for that top line all the way up against the wall. Having that will be a pretty good advantage in this next-gen car, but I'm excited to see just how this plays out.
Absolutely. As we get set to make our way out of our opening practice out here tonight for the Miller Motorsports 201 from the Freaky Deaky Racing League. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday night here on the CyberThunder Broadcast Network. We're going to take a look at your race information for tonight and take a look at the upcoming schedule that these drivers have. Next week is the final race in the round of 12 where drivers will take on the road course of the Charlotte Roval. And then we get a little more serious about the playoffs and we go to the round of 8 before we see the championship event at Phoenix.
I'm excited for the end of the season here in the Freaky Deaky Racing League. I think the NASCAR schedule is laid out in a pretty fun way, and that's, of course, what we mirror here in the FDRL. We've got Kansas, the Roval, got another intermediate in Vegas. We're getting Talladega in there. We're getting Martinsville in there. You got the best variation of all. I think I mentioned it last week, but schedule variation is a great thing, and keeping these drivers on their toes from one week to the next as well is, I think, a great way to test these drivers throughout a playoffs.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you've got very different styles of racing that we're going to see over these next 4 or 5 weeks of racing out here tonight. But it's going to start tonight before we get to the Roval next week. There's a couple of drivers that are looking to have a good points night. You never want to go into a road course such as the Roval on the bubble, on the points right now. Mike Miller and Brennan Brody, those are the drivers 7th and 8th in points. Paxton Frith is about 8 points behind Brennan Brody as they enter tonight's race.
Speaking of Brendan Brody, just jumps to the top of the times here in practice as we're winding down to the final 4 minutes or so before qualifying. Brendan Brody with a what looks like a 30.03 for a lap to top the charts. One thing I've noticed so far, Tom, is the gaps up front, the tops of this timing board. There are 5 drivers within a tenth of a second. We've got some really close battles.
Yeah, and then the entire top 10 all within a quarter of a second of each other. So, I mean, we're going to see some close racing out here tonight. Stages for tonight's race, we'll see if fuel mileage comes into play out here tonight or if we get some green flag racing and some green flag pit stops out here tonight. But stages 30 and 60, on 60% fuel that these drivers have, Arie, I got to imagine we can see at least one round of green flag pit stops through both of the first 2 segments.
I would imagine so, and I would hope so as well. Green flag pit stops are always another great challenge to throw in there as we watch Brad Holmes cross the line after getting into the wall, and not going to improve on that one, I do not believe. But these drivers getting some last-minute practice in as we've got a little less than 3 minutes to qualifying.
As we come out to tonight's race, Arie, we've seen Matt Semple and Brad Holmes kind of be the dominant drivers here in the Freaky Deaky Racing League, but we've seen flashes of other drivers. We've seen Mike Schaefer have great runs. Don't believe the 29 has made his way out to Kansas just yet. We'll see if he brings that 29 out here tonight. We've also seen Aiden Shrine come out, and last week we spoke to Gary Miller with the podium finish.
We sure did. Gary Miller coming out with a really solid run last week and putting himself in a good position moving forward here as we get ready to wind down the field to the final 8 that will have a chance at the championship this season. I've noticed that Roy Hill is a name that's kind of come up here and there in recent races. He's been looking pretty quick tonight at Kansas. Could tonight be the night that Roy Hill kind of gets going on the right foot and gets some momentum with a park in victory lane?
It very well could be, and maybe it's Logan Spencer. Logan, kind of the quiet driver around here in the Friggy Racing League, and always finds his way up towards the front. Who's it going to be? Put your picks out in the YouTube chat. Let us know who you're rooting for out here this evening on this wonderful Wednesday evening. As we get set to go racing, we're going to throw it trackside for pre-race ceremonies. All right, back here from the Kansas Speedway as practice just wrapped up, and drivers getting ready to make their first 2 qualifying laps out here. A couple of names out on the board already out here to begin their qualifying laps. Taking a look at Brad Holmes right now. Other drivers out on track: Logan Spencer, Matt Semple, Brad Holmes, Roy Hill III, Paxton Frith. All drivers beginning their 2 laps here.
I'm really curious to follow along with driver 77. I know you won't mind, Tom, driving that Wood Brothers motorcraft car, of course. But 2, 3, and 4, we go, getting up to speed. Roy Hill III. We're going to follow along on this qualifying run and see what Roy can do.
Always a good-looking red and white Ford Mustang that we see from Roy out here. When it comes to qualifying out here, Arie, there's certain tracks. We think of Daytona, Talladega, now the newly reconfigured Atlanta Super Speedway as being the first lap is kind of a throwaway lap where you kind of build up the speed. Is that something that drivers could maybe use to their advantage here, run the top side of the speedway to put all the momentum on lap number 2, or is lap number 1 kind of the money lap?
I think lap number 2 is always the money lap. That seems to be the trend in any of the NASCAR vehicles around this time. So lap number 2 is the money lap, whether or not you run both laps on the bottom, or if you use, the high side for one, maybe the high side for both, whatever the case. I like lap number 2.
Well, lap number 2 is what Roy is on right now, currently 4th on the timing charts as he completed his first lap a minute ago, and we'll see what lap number 2 brings for driver 77. Looks like he's going to hold 4th on the board. Other drivers out on track right now is Aiden Shrine in that number 87 Chevy Camaro. Aiden's kind of one of those drivers, Arie, that always very, very fast. We just haven't seen him at the end.
That's right. I think that's a really good way to put it. And I'm not sure if Aiden got under the wall right there, but we'll see as he crosses the line. And it looks like he might have no improvement on that one. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Aiden's a very quick driver, and we don't always get to see the best out of Aiden Shrine. But one of these days, that's going to turn around. It's only a matter of time. When you've got speed like that, that's the most important step.
Really good looking number 42 car out here tonight for Christopher Pugliese in that red and... is it red? Orange? Pepsi car that he's got out here this evening. It's a really cool looking car, kind of like a throwback looking car on there. Taking a look, clicking over to Jaden Wicks as Jaden continues his championship run. First time by was good enough for 8th for the number 9.
Through 3 and 4 for the final time on lap number 2. This is going to be the money lap. Now or never for driver 9, Jaden Wicks, to the line. And with that one, from P8 to P8, no movement on that one. That brings us to the last driver yet to set, or yet to complete both laps, I should say, Brendan Brody in the 98.
Yeah, Brendan, again, comes in here on the bubble. We're going to be advancing 8 drivers after next week's race at the Charlotte Roval. Comes in 8th in points, just 8 points over Paxton Frith, currently in 9th place. So stage points are going to be very important for both the 98 and the 21 out here this evening to see who can maybe put themselves in a better spot going into the Roval next week. But second time on the board for Brody is good enough for 5th.
And that might be good enough to put Brennan in a better spot for those stage points you were just alluding to, as driver 21 Paxton Frith's back down in 8th place. But that's going to be the last of the drivers who have to set a qualifying lap. And with that, we've got about 1 minute of a breather before we set this grid officially.
So how about Logan Spencer? No other cars to qualify. Logan Spencer is going to be starting on the pole out here tonight. What do you say we see, see if we can dial up the 89? Logan, it's Tom and Arie down here in the CyberThunder broadcast booth. How you doing, sir?
Oh, not bad.
Not bad after that qualifying run. You're starting on the pole. You were fastest in the 2-lap qualifying out here tonight. What's your strategy for these first 2 stages and to bring it home for the 3rd?
Slow and steady is kind of what I was thinking. She's a little slick out there tonight.
All right. Well, we will see. What's don't give away all the secrets, but what kind of fuel are you looking at? You gonna be able to make both stage 1 and 2 on fuel?
I haven't looked that much into it. Well, I kind of, play it by ear when I get out there.
That's the perfect answer for a race car driver. But Logan, good luck out here tonight. We will see if you're able to hang on, and we will maybe talk to you at the end of the race.
Thank you.
All right, Logan keeping some fuel close to his chest as we get set to begin our 134 lap race out here this evening. What do you say, Arie? It's a Wednesday night. You want to go racing?
That I do, and let's see if we can't pull up our grid right here as all of our drivers get ready to go out on track. We've got our pole sitter. We just talked to him, Logan Spencer, in the 89, coming away with quite a bit of speed in qualifying. Alongside is Matt Semple, driver of the 8, been on a tear this playoffs, but in 3rd place it's double Brad Holmes, who's picked up the pace in recent weeks, alongside Roy Hill III in the 77 car. And rounding out the top 5, Brendan Brody, driver of the 98.
Mike Miller is going to roll off 6th on the starting grid out here tonight. Next to Mike, we've got Christopher Pugliese and Paxton Frith, the driver of the number 21. Jaden Wicks comes out here tonight. Below the cut line, needs a lot of stage points, needs something to happen out here tonight for that number 9 to advance to the round of 8. Finally, we got Gary Miller in the number 38 rounding out the top 10, and the field of 12 is rounded out by Aiden Shrine, and Mike Schaefer did make his way in past pre-race inspection. And the 29 is here, starting 12th.
All right, well, it's go time, Tom. We're done with all the pre-race antics, and we're about to see which drivers have come the most prepared for the high banks of Kansas. Can you say high banks at a track like Kansas? I think you can. You go pretty fast around this track.
It depends on how determined you are. There's a whole lot of banking that they can lean on, but the field is going to follow the iRacing.com pace car off of pit road for the first time tonight. Again, our stages end at the conclusion of lap number 30, the conclusion of lap number 60, and finally these drivers are racing to the checkered flag, lap 134.
I tell you what, I really like this for Logan Spencer in the 89. He's a driver who I feel like we often talk about finding his way up towards the front at the end, but in the first half of the races, we don't really see that out of Logan. And now he's put himself in an opportunity here on the pole. Even the front of his car says pole setter right there as well, so it kind of works out pretty well.
It really does. And when you start up front, Arie, you run a different race. You run a different stage 1. You run a different stage 2, and you set yourself up differently for the stage 3 finish to the checkered flag. So opportunities out here tonight for Logan Spencer, opportunities for Matt Semple to continue his dominance out here in the Friggy Diggy Racing League. But it's about time we go racing from the heartland, Arie. Let's go green flag racing from Kansas.
Pace cars down and into the restart zone we go. Green flag's gonna drop, and we've got Logan Spencer and Matt Semple on the gas. Great restart from both lines, and away we go. Matt Semple, no help on the outside down into turn 1.
Down into turn number 1, Logan Spencer going to be able to hold on to the race lead tentatively as they race through 2 and 3 wide through turns 1 and 2, but Matt Semple able to stick the nose up on the right rear quarter panel of Logan Spencer, still hanging on tight for the battle for the race lead as Brad Holmes slides up to lane number 3, make it lane number 2 as they're going to be side by side off of turn number 4, complete lap number 1, and yellow flag out for the first time this evening. Gary Miller.
Big issues for driver 38. Gary Miller hard into the wall. Kind of got a little glimpse of that as it was happening. Let's see if we can't cue up a little replay here and see what happened with Gary here on the first lap.
See him underneath his son, Mike Miller, on that 24. And Gary, a little bit of contact between the 21 and the 38. And hard contact on the right front. Never want to use a fast repair on lap number 1, Arie, but I do believe that's going to be in the cards.
I would tend to agree with that as well. I want to see if we can't watch on board with the 21 of Paxton Frith going into the corner here. Riding that line on the bottom, and Gary just kind of comes down where Paxton is. And, you know, at first that looked a little more on Paxton Frith, if you ask me. But on that second view right there, that just kind of seems like 3-4 wide racing on lap 1 that just got a little too intense.
Well, Gary Miller going to come down to pit road. The remainder of the field going to stay out as we have only completed 1 lap. But Logan Spencer did hold off for the race lead, but he was under fire on that first initial start of the race from Matt Semple.
That he was, and I think this is a big break for Logan Spencer in the 89. It looked like he was about to, succumb to third place, if anything. I think Matt Semple had the preferred line on the outside, and Brad Holmes was right there as well. I thought for a minute Brad might have made it 3 wide, but regardless, he was definitely going to follow Matt past. So good break for Logan Spencer. I would be surprised if he does not pick the outside for this next restart. You see Gary Miller on pit exit. Looks like he's got that car all fixed up. That's 1 fast repair down on lap 1. So Gary Miller in the 38 going to be racing this race, much like any other traditional races where you don't have that fast repair and you've got a lot to deal with here. So gotta be playing it safe if you're Gary Miller.
Yeah, and now you have to run your race a little bit differently. So Gary Miller came in tonight inside the well inside the playoff cut line. Was 5th on the board, got probably about a 40-point cushion between him and the current cut line of Brendan Brody and Paxton Frith. So we will see if Gary runs this race any differently, but opportunities for mistakes are now eliminated for the 38.
That they are, and lucky for driver 38, we are at Kansas, which is one of the widest tracks that we go to in terms of racing lines. So lots of room, and hopefully can avoid future incidents.
As the field doubles up behind the iRacing.com pace car, lights are extinguished off that Volkswagen Jetta, and we are about to go racing for the first restart of the night. So we got a little bit of a taste of what we can expect to see on the restarts. I think maybe Matt Semple probably maybe tries to hang his nose there on the right rear quarter panel of the 89, maybe a little bit more aggressively this time than what we saw on the start of the night. But we will see how this restart goes. We're about to get down and out of the way from the pace car and send us back green flag racing.
I'm ready to do it. Let's see if we can't determine who's going to get the advantage on this restart right here. Pace car is off, and towards the restart zone we go. Logan Spencer, Matt Semple, where have we seen this before? Big bump from Brad Holmes on the restart right there, but Logan Spencer has to check up a little bit, maybe missed a shift.
Yeah, issues for the 89 of Logan Spencer. Did not get going. That looked like a really good bump from the 0-0 Brad Holmes from row number 2. But unfortunately, Logan just did not get through the gearboxes as good as Matt Semple did. And now we got a new second place runner, Christopher Pugliese in the 42.
Yeah, who saw Pugliese coming in that bright blue Pepsi 42? The, if I'm not mistaken, only non-playoff driver in the field, or one of the only non-playoff drivers in the field at the very least. And Pugliese getting up there trying to spoil the party, but I love the way drivers can slice and dice going down that front stretch. You've got that huge apron to work with. You got a very wide track. You see drivers diving down, they're coming back on track, they're side drafting, they're bumping. It's a great time.
Field's going to race down the backstretch, working lap number 6 of 134 out here. Also, 6 of 30. That is, again, our first stage, but Mike Miller given a chase to Jaden Wicks back there for position for about the 7th or 8th place running position, but battles everywhere you look from 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 3 wide for 3rd.
Coming off of turn 2, it looked like we got a little bit of contact or near contact between the 87 and the 42 heading into turn 1 this last time, but everyone gets it kind of sorted out as Matt Semple leads up front, Logan Spencer in 2nd, Brad Holmes in 3rd. These drivers are starting to get a little more spread out, everyone figuring out where they want to be. Big contact with the wall from the 87, and it looks like double-double under some pressure from Pugliese in the 42.
And here comes Brad Holmes underneath the 42, trying to march his way into 3rd place, and he may be able to complete the pass off of turn number 2, and yes, he is able to, but here comes the 77, not too far out of camera frame. Here comes the 77, Roy Hill, started 4th on the board, trying to retake 4th place.
Get a great shot from the rear bumper of the double-double machine of Brad Holmes as Roy Hill looks to the inside of Christopher Pugliese. Got a little bit more ground to make up before that's a pass that can be had. But great start to the race for a couple drivers, namely Logan Spencer and Christopher Pugliese, drivers who we don't usually see this far up this early on. Is a pleasant surprise to kind of shake things up here.
Yeah, absolutely. And driver that missed all of practice out here tonight, maybe figuring some things out right now. Mike Schaefer, back in that number 29 car, currently running 12th out of 12 drivers. Last time by for Mike Schaefer was about half a second slower than the cars in front of him. So difficult opening stage here, but running kind of in your own lane right here. Not in a position to get stage points as he runs right now, but maybe trying to get some practice in these first 30 laps for driver number 29.
Could very well be the case, and you know, Mike did not get the luxury of practicing for that hour or so that all these other drivers had. So Mike coming in here pretty much off the hot seat, just like it's back in 2020. And contact between the 38 and the 9 going down the front stretch. Somehow we keep it going.
Yeah, somehow they keep it going. I'm curious if there's any damage on either the left rear quarter panel. The quarter panels on these cars, Ari, are super sensitive. Particularly the rear quarter panels are super sensitive. If you get any damage on there, looks like, I can't tell if that's his paint scheme, if that's the line that runs up the rear of the car, or if that is, or if that's some damage there on the left rear quarter panel of the 9.
It looks more so like the paint scheme more than anything, but I do see what you're seeing right there as well. And of course the 38 just behind, who was a part of that as well. This would be the right front that we're looking at for the 38 as he comes down onto the backstretch. I don't know if we'll get a good shot of it here, but we might be able to right here from Jaden Wicks. Yeah, no damage. Looks like these drivers are still good to go, and they're going to go battling yet again. Same positions in which the incident happened previously. Jaden Wicks on the outside, Gary Miller on the inside. They keep it clean for now.
That time
Meanwhile,
Logan Spencer has made his way back up to the race lead. Hold on, Logan gets loose on the bottom. That allows Matt Semple to power down, but here comes the 0-0 with the momentum into turn number 3. 3rd to 1st and 1 straightaway.
crazy how that works. Can Matt Semple get that momentum going through turns 3 and 4? He can. Can he keep it on the outside of Brad Holmes? Get down there and side draft. That's going to bring the two of them back. And now Logan Spencer going to have a fantastic view going into turns 1 and 2 right here. Logan elects to take the bottom line. That's how we caught up to driver number 8. And now he's in this dirty air, but he's going to have a lot of drafting help going down this straightaway.
And if these drivers can't get it figured out, Logan's going to have the opportunity in another corner, maybe another 2 corners, to potentially take it 3 wide. So these drivers got to figure out. Whoa, Matt Semple loose on the exit of 4, hangs onto it through the grass, doing some lawn care at Kansas Speedway. Car is clean, but losing a bunch of spots.
Yeah, and a lot of dirt getting kicked up onto the track. We can see right there that is going to be a little sketchy if you're one of the drivers who's got to drive through that. But Matt Semple keeps it clean, keeps it out of the wall, keeps it out of other cars. And while it is a drop further back, it is early enough in the race that we've still got stage 1 to look forward to. But look at this, Tom. Logan Spencer in the 89 muscles up into the lead ahead of Brad Holmes. Logan Spencer wasn't just here to set the pole tonight.
Oh, he was not. He is here to lead laps and be in contention for the race win. Logan Spencer takes the race lead away from Brad Holmes, but Roy Hill III, quiet night so far, but making noise.
He sure is. He's closing in very quietly, very, very subtly closing in on these top 2, but we can maybe even hop on board here with the 77 as he tries to chase down Brad Holmes in second and then Logan Spencer in the lead.
Currently running third on the board as these drivers cross the line to begin lap number 17 of 30. That's our stages, and now Logan Spencer going to fall victim to Brad Holmes as Brad now a pass for the lead. New race leader, the 0-0, once again.
We're not done yet. Logan Spencer looking to the inside one more time. Is Brad going to close the door? Is Logan going to get the nose there? Neither are the case, and they keep it going across the line. Brad Holmes this time as we complete lap 17. And we got battles all over the track to keep an eye on. Back here for P4, Christopher Pugliese holding on, but watch out because here comes Mike Miller in the 24. Wants a little bit of that fourth place action.
Mike Miller giving the chase to the 42 halfway down the backstretch, working lap number 18. Mike Miller up 1 spot, Chris Pugliese up 3 spots from their respective qualifying efforts out here this evening, but we will see stage points being handed out in just about 12 laps, make it 11 laps as they come across the line. We got battles for the race lead, we got battles for second, we got battles for third and fourth. Everywhere you look, we've got battles out here on this multi-grouped racetrack.
Everywhere you look, indeed, and as a matter of fact, we jump back up front. Roy Hill going to take over second place from Logan Spencer in the 89, and now that's only one driver to go. I think we mentioned it in qualifying a little bit, Tom, but I like the look of Roy Hill in the 77 tonight. There's just something about the speed he was showing in practice and the consistency that he has at the moment. He's coming alive as the tires are going away. Watch out for that 77.
Yeah, last time by for Roy Hill was about a tenth slower than Brad Holmes, but Roy was working through traffic of Logan Spencer. I'm going to be real curious to see what Roy has in time comparison to Brad Holmes this time by, now that he's made his way around. But following the battle right now for fourth place between the 24 and the 42.
These two just cannot get away from each other, and what this is doing is bringing in the drivers that are a little further back. We've got this big cluster. We've got Jaden Wicks. We've got Paxton Frith, Matt Semple making his way back up. These drivers are loving the amount of side-by-side action. It's basically like at a super speedway with these two. They're able to pretty much run full out, and they're just side-trafficking each other back like parachutes. We finally see the 24 get clear of the 42, and that's going to help them in kind of, you know, stabilizing the bleeding, if it were.
At a track like this, Ari, does a car tend to build loose or tight on the corner exits the longer the run goes?
It depends on how you're running it, but more often than not, it's going to build tight at a track like Kansas with how much on-throttle time there is, especially if you've been running on that outside line. You'll notice that you need to start being very careful on entry to middle, lest you get the car way too tight. And if you're on the bottom, then you might get a little more on the loose side, depending on how hard you're running it. But at Kansas, I very rarely touch the bottom. I'll only get on the bottom if I have a lot of time, you know, a lot of a gap to work with behind me. Otherwise, I'm on the top the whole time.
So now the follow-up to that question, Ari, is that if the track is building tight, I would think that benefits the lead car in terms of defense. Would it not?
It does. It absolutely does, and you know, that's one of the secrets to success here at Kansas is if you're the leader, you want to park it on that high side and just ride that wall all the way around, assuming you've got that line down. And you know, if you're tight, you're left to assume that most others are tight as well, because that dirty air, what that's going to do is tighten a car up. I don't think I've ever, very rarely in the next gen era have I seen dirty air loosen a car up. So it's nothing but benefits for the driver with clean air.
Close battles running out on track right now as we get that explanation from a multi-time champion, Arie Heinzman, up here in the CyberThunder Broadcast Network. That's the kind of insight that is so valuable to have as Roy Hill the third, is starting to lose a little bit of time, starting to fall back into the clutches of Logan Spencer. Battle now for second place. Logan Spencer is just not going away out here tonight. That was not a fluke qualifying lap from the 89.
It was not, and it's really interesting, the ups and downs. We've seen Logan start up front, fall back a little. He made a charge to the lead. He fell back a little again, and now he's making another charge. That tells me that Logan is getting really experimental here in stage one. He's trying to figure out what he can get away with, what he can do, and on the times where he's fallen back, one of two things has probably happened. He's either consciously saving his tires, or he heated them up just a little too much in these wheel-to-wheel battles, but every time he starts going up towards the front, tells me that those tires are in good working condition. He's got a good line he's figured out right here. I love this turn 1 and 2 for Logan. He's running it perfectly, and now he can set sail ahead on Brad Holmes as he's overtaken Roy Hill for second place and already put about half a second on him.
We are now within the stage designation window, so drivers know if we see a caution between now and the end of lap number 30, they know that's the stage, and we are not going to be going back green flag racing. But right now, we stay green flag racing. The lights are green from Kansas Speedway, but all drivers know that it is go time, know that the next yellow flag will hand out the stage points, whether it's now or in 3 laps.
That's right, and turn our attention to driver number 8, Matt Semple, has made a good recovery from that lawn mowing session down the front stretch all the way back up to P6, and might even be looking at a P5 spot before stage 1 is over. Matt Semple, of course, I do believe Tom locked into the next round at the moment, so not too much to worry about here for old Matt Semple. But of course, you always want to do the best that you can. You're never going to give up a position willy-nilly.
Of course you do. Matt Semple, 28 starts before tonight's race on the season. 26 of them have been top 5s.
That tells a story. That tells a pretty big story for driver number 8 right there, and a whole lot of win stickers to boot as well. So Matt's had a great season, and he doesn't want to let off now. The second you start getting a little complacent, you leave yourself vulnerable.
Next time by, we're going to see the white flag in the stage to begin lap number 30, where stage points will be handed out. Brennan Brody, Paxton Frith. Again, Brennan Brody came in just 8 points in front of Paxton Frith. So where is Brody? Brody is down in 11th right now, not in a position to get stage points. Paxton Frith looks like he's going to be getting 2 stage points after stage number 1. So we will call that a 6-point difference now between the cut line.
That's absolutely correct. That's going to make it a little more interesting as we head into the rest of the evening. But right now, we're looking at our stage 1 winner, double-double in the 00 machine. It's Brad Holmes. You know him, you love him, ahead of Logan Spencer in second place in stage 1. Roy Hill getting third place points. Mike Miller in fourth. Jaden Wicks in fifth. And rounding out the top 10 in stage 1, Matt Semple, Mike Schaefer, Christopher Pugliese, Paxton Frith, and Gary Miller.
So stage 1 done and away, 1 contact caution as the field is going to wait on the iRacing.com pace car. That is what everybody's waiting on right now, and there comes the pace car. Anybody catch your eye in these first 30 laps? Jaden Wicks improved 4 spots off of his qualifying run. Mike Schaefer, we were talking about him a little bit earlier in stage number 1, was running in 12th, kind of getting some practice laps, finished the stage in 7th.
Yeah, I in terms of drivers that have caught my eye, I don't know. There's kind of 2 of them. You know, Logan Spencer has been putting on a performance that has kind of shocked the both of us, but man, I'm just not ready to count out Roy Hill yet in that 77. I feel like I've seen some good things, and you know, out of our race leaders, it felt like each of the 3 race leaders were up and down at different times in stage 1. They're all still figuring it out a little bit, so they've all still got a ways to go. Who's going to get on top of things first?
Well, as the field comes down for their first round of yellow flag pit stops out here this evening, we're going to see 4 tires up and down pit road as we're looking at most of the race leaders here, and we're going to see who wins the race off of pit road. Mike Schaefer wheels down and rolling. Brad Holmes wheels down and rolling. Logan Spencer going to come out second. Roy Hill in third, followed by Mike Miller, and Mike Schaefer looks like he's going to pick up 2 spots on this 1 spot for the 29. I didn't see Matt come out frame.
Just out of frame, but he's going to sneak his way up there, and off of pit road we go. Any penalties to report? I do not believe so. I think everyone makes it through safe and sound this go around.
Be interesting to see if maybe Brendan Brody had some damage. Brendan Brody had over a minute pit lane time with a pit stop time of about 31 seconds. Unless he's just sitting there, oh, there's heavy damage on the front end of that car.
Yeah, looks like the 98 car got into another vehicle at some point. That's the only way you're going to get that kind of damage right there. So I'd be curious to see the rear end of some other drivers throughout the field and see if we can't, determine when that happened. But that's some pretty significant damage. You see how much that splitter is raised up off the ground. For Brendan Brody, at a track like Kansas, you're going to feel that more than maybe anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Tracks like Kansas, tracks like Las Vegas, Michigan, Auto Club, any of these high speed, high powered, high RPM, high momentum tracks, anything like that, that could put an end to your competitive night for the 98. Let's see if he comes down and uses a fast repair. Perhaps he came down and kind of assessed the damage the first time, and it looks like he does use that fast repair on that 98.
Yep, I think that's a very smart play from Brendan Brody in the 98. I love the idea of coming down once, assessing the damage. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe you can get away with saving that fast repair. But if you're not in a position where you're riding the tow truck back to pit lane, take that chance. You're already pitting. You're already going to the back. Pit a second time if you need to. Use that fast repair. Assess the situation. Very heads up.
All right, the field of 12 drivers behind the iRacing.com pace car, getting set to go to begin stage number 2, ends at lap number 60. Let's go green flag racing once again.
On the loud pedal we go. Brad Holmes, fantastic restart as we head down into turn number 1. The double machine in the lead, but the battle is on behind. We've got Roy Hill trying to take away second place. He's going to do it. He's clear. And now we've got Logan Spencer and Matt Semple, the original front row. They're going to be battling it out for P3.
Position number 3 up for grabs right now. Logan Spencer working the top lane of the Speedway, protecting it from Matt Semple, but Chris Pugliese says, I'm going to be here to take it away from one of you, as Matt Semple is able to take P3 away from Logan Spencer. Logan Spencer loses a spot or two on this restart. A little bit of a two-wide battle happening right behind us. Jaden Wicks, Mike Miller, these drivers still continuing their march forward out here this evening. They know that they want to be up in contention to begin stage number 3 at the end of these next 30 laps.
That they do, and we jump back here into the Hornet's Nest, as it were. Jaden Wicks, we've got the 29 of Mike Schaefer, we've got Paxton Frith, we've got Aiden Shrine.
Brendan Brody is severely off pace right now, Ari. Losing seconds over seconds over seconds a lap. I mean, you just look at the timing and scoring charts.
Yeah, big issues for driver number 98. I wonder if we can't jump on board right here and maybe listen along and see what's going on. We get a little hide that overlay right there. I mean, he's up to speed now for the most part, but I don't know. He's gonna blink out just a little bit right there. That's interesting, Tom. It's a great point you bring up.
Well, we're going to keep a close eye on Brendan Brody, but currently 9 seconds behind the race leader. And in another minute or so, let's take a look and see how far behind he is. But losing time for the 98, who needs stage points out here tonight to continue his championship run, but battles back up towards the front. Position number 4, 5, and 6 up for grabs as Mike Miller under fire and making his Logan Spencer under fire from Mike Miller. Mike Miller is now going to put himself into 4th.
That he is, and Logan Spencer has fallen from grace just a little bit since this restart, but up front, we got a battle for the lead everywhere you look, and this time it's going to be Roy Hill in that 77 Ford Mustang trying to take it away from Brad Holmes, Mr. Double-Double. He's going to cut down to the bottom and take that clean air away, and look at the effect it has on Roy Hill in the 77. I have scarcely ever seen such a good example of the dirty air right there, the way he chopped off the 77's nose. He wasn't even that close, but that's the kind of effect we're talking about, Tom.
And now that brings Matt Semple into the picture, right up on the back bumper of that number 21. Let's close the loop on Brendan Brody real quick. I said a lap ago he was 9 seconds behind the race leader. He's now 10.5 seconds behind the race leader. So severe issues for this 98.
That's right. Back up into the Hornet's Nest we go, and we've got the 38 getting into the wall just a little bit. Man, these guys cannot get away from each other. They cannot get away from the wall. And I tell you what, I'm glad I'm not behind the wheel in this Hornet's Nest, and we get to sit up here all comfy watching it.
driver we haven't really said name out here tonight so far. Aiden Shrine in the number 87, running that Red Bull Chevy Camaro out here this evening, up 3 spots from his qualifying effort, started 11th on the board. But Aiden Shrine maybe didn't get the qualifying effort that he wanted, but trying to, as he's going to tap the wall, put a little bit of paint on the outside retaining wall, and continue his chase on to maybe a top 5 running order here soon.
Yeah, it's pretty funny to watch all these drivers exit like turn 4. You see 2 or 3, maybe even 4 of them in a row get into the wall and just follow each other in there. It's so easy to do at a track like this.
Working lap number 40 of 134 out here tonight. 20 laps remaining in stage number 2. Mike Schaefer putting the heat on Logan Spencer. Logan Spencer not having the start of stage 2 that he was hoping to.
He is not, and I'm wondering, you know, this is going to be a real test for driver 89. How can he recover from falling back into traffic like this? Logan had a really good start to the race, but this is going to be his first real test. How can he rebound? Can he get through these guys? Can he make his way back up front? Or, you know, does he kind of flounder a little bit? Does he use up his stuff too much? We'll see as stage 2 plays out, but Logan's got the speed to be up front. We'll see how he approaches this.
Right behind Logan Spencer is the 38 and the 87. Aiden Shrine continuing to try to make his march forward, with Chris Pugliese down a couple of spots from his qualifying effort out here tonight, as this group of 4 or 5, maybe 6 cars, if you count Paxton, in here as well, tries to carry on with just 18 laps remaining in stage number 2.
What we're seeing right now are the closest battles on track. This group of about 5 drivers in a row. The race leaders are pretty close. It's getting tight up here as Brad Holmes leads this race ahead of Roy Hill, the third and second place. We've got Matt Semple in third, and I mean that 24 Mike Miller very quietly having a really solid race so far.
Yeah, last time by for the 24 of Mike Miller was faster than third and second in front of him. Brad was a little bit faster than the 24, but Mike trying to continue his march up towards the front, already up 2 spots from his qualifying effort. Started 6th on the board out here this evening. See his fast lap of a 30.206. Doesn't tell us when that lap happened, but I would imagine it happened at the beginning of stage number 2. But Roy Hill is not going away. We did not see, we've not seen the leader pull away here tonight at Kansas, at least so far, Arie, that we've seen in previous races.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how bunched up this field is, and I do think it makes for a pretty fun watch from up here in the booth. Is it looks like Brad Holmes has, you know, at least figured out how to use that clean air to a pretty good advantage out front, and you know he can't get too far away from the rest, but you know the closer it feels like the more cars you're around, the harder it is to get away from them.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, you've got cars working together trying to push their way around you, and Brad Holmes has about a half-second lead right now over second place, but battles right now Gary Miller, Mike Schaefer, and Chris Pugliese as they enter into turn number 1. This is a battle for about the 6th place running order, 7th place running order, as we follow this group of 3 or 4 drivers down the backstretch here.
Down into turns 3 and 4 we go, riding on board with Gary Miller in the 38 as we see Christopher Pugliese looking to the inside of Mike Schaefer, not going to be able to get it done, and Mike Schaefer in that Fire and Ice Chevy Camaro tries to close in the gap on Gary Miller, wants to take over this P7 running position, but gets into the wall just a little bit right there, going to get sucked into it. That wall will rope you in, and it oftentimes is very hard to get out of once you've made contact.
Yeah, it is, and we've seen a lot of drivers through just catching it on camera. We've seen a lot of drivers making contact with the outside of turn number 4 specifically. So that again kind of goes to your point that you made, I don't know, 20 laps ago or so, stating that the track is building tight for a lot of these drivers, but you want to keep that right side of the car intact. You don't want to put too much damage on that right side of the car because it will affect you here.
Yeah, it certainly will, and while the next-gen car is the most durable of the NASCAR vehicles that we see run on the schedule these days, you do got to be a little careful, because all it takes is one bad hit on that right front and you're going to bend that suspension all out of whack, and that's really the worst possible outcome in these next gen cars. It is beyond out of control at that point. As we go into turns 1 and 2, I want to make a point that what we just saw right there, and I don't know if we'll see it again going into 3 and 4 or what have you, but Gary Miller running, I think, the perfect entry to avoid that feeling of building tight as the run goes on. We'll see if he's able to clear Logan Spencer here through turns 3 and 4. He does, and I would love to see if Gary Miller opts to run that high side again in 1 and 2 now that he's got the space to do so. Logan Spencer is going to get a run. Let's jump on board right here. You see that seam on the left side. Gary Miller entered this time above that seam entirely, and he got into the wall. He got pretty tight. Here at a track like Kansas, I love to dip the left wheels underneath that seam. I'm going to run the high side, but I'm going to get underneath that seam a little bit, because as you cross that seam, it kicks the rear end of the car out just a little bit. It loosens you up a little bit, and that negates that building tight feeling. The longer you go into a run, you want to dip below that seam just a little bit, just with your left tires, and you're letting off a little bit earlier back in the corner. Up right there is perfect. That helps hook the car around the corner, and you're going to prevent that building tight feeling. He had to get off of the gas exiting the corner right there, which tells me he's getting on the gas a little too soon. But at a track like Kansas, where that high line, is the place to be, that's kind of the secret. That's what you want to be able to do. That's going to get you that long run speed.
Yeah, you can see Gary Miller working the top lane of the Speedway, running that line very, very well. And I mean, we saw it there on the onboard with Gary Miller in the 38. There is no room for error. As you see him there, scrape the wall just a little bit on the entry to turns 1 and 2. These drivers can't get much closer to the outside wall up here.
No, that's absolutely correct. Very little margin for error, and I really wonder if we've got like a good shot for how close we get to the wall. And you know, the camera might look a little glitched out, a little wonky if we get close enough to it. But we ride on board with the 38 right here. You get close enough to the wall. Maybe not this time through the corner, but you're riding up there the whole time. Yeah, when we're looking at it. See if we get a better angle into turns 3 and 4. Yeah, he's going to stay right up here on the wall.
Don't mind the safer barriers.
Yeah, we're looking inside of the wall. But, you know, these drivers are running, 170 miles an hour through these corners. 170 miles an hour that close to the wall. You've got to do your best to stay off of it. And when you see these guys get into the wall, you see those sparks go flying. I mean, I don't know about you, Tom, but can you really blame them?
I tell you what, Ari, as we were following those great camera shots through turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 with the 38, don't look now. Matt Semple is closing in on the 77, and the 77 is closing in on the 00.
That they are. We've got an interesting battle for the race lead that is starting to shape up here as we get closer to the end of stage number 2. Brad Holmes in control of this race at the moment. Brad, I think, in all honesty, Tom, I think the past couple of weeks, it's been a Brad Holmes kind of league in terms of where the momentum has been. He's kind of taken over that title from Matt Semple, and driver number 8's going to want to get up there and try and make a difference here. Matt did kind of walk away with the advantage recently, but I feel like on raw speed, on raw pace, Brad's had it figured out.
And here comes Roy Hill III down onto the inside. First battle for the lead we've seen in recent memory. Here comes the 77, put the red and white Ford Mustang to the race lead.
Brad Holmes got into the wall in turns 1 and 2 right there, trying to run the high side. That's going to lose him second place as well, and maybe just as quickly as Roy Hill gets the lead, he's going to be under pressure and potentially losing it from Matt Semple. That bright dark blue, I don't know, that's kind of a contradiction. That dark blue number 8 is trying to get up there and take over the race lead once again after having gone through the grass early on in this race.
This is the first time we've seen Roy with clean air, maybe since we've started calling these races back at Pocono Raceway a couple of months ago. Now, what does Roy do here in these next 3 laps? Roy has the opportunity to kind of run the line that Matt Semple wants, as Matt Semple is going to take a look to the inside and make a pass for the race lead. I was going to say maybe we see Roy put some dirty air on the 8 intentionally, which air is fair game.
Yeah, air is always fair game, and I think what we're seeing right there is that Matt Semple's got that Chevy Camaro in a much better handling position than Roy Hill does. If we look from onboard Matt Semple, you could see the gap that he's already opened. That was through one corner since he made that pass. I think Matt Semple is taking care of these tires significantly more than some of these other leaders around him, and that's given him the opportunity to come up here, make the passes, and then run and hide like he is at the moment. We're already looking at about a half a second back to Roy Hill and another half a second back to Brad Holmes in the 00.
Possible issues for Paxton Frith has fallen back to 12th, so the driver who needed stage points out here tonight to make his way in, we calculated on air that he was now 6 points behind the 98, not in a position to capitalize. This would have been a great opportunity for the 21 to get some stage points here, much needed stage points as they head into the Roval next week, and Brendan Brody looks like he may even snag a stage point.
He may, and there's some chatter over the comms about how much that 98 car is blinking out on track right now. That, of course, being an internet connectivity issue, but up in a 10th place goes Brendan Brody, trying to turn that 6-point difference back into a 7-point difference to get him into the next round. We'll keep an eye on that as it develops, but across the line we go. Matt Semple gonna get it done in stage number 2. All of these drivers are gonna get checked up just a little bit. Run you through our top 10 results for stage number 2. Who are we paying the points out to? Well, 10 are going to Matt Semple, 9 to Roy Hill the third. Brad Holmes scoring 8 stage points. Mike Miller in the 24 are going to get 7. Jaden Wicks with 6. Logan Spencer 5. Christopher Pugliese 4. Gary Miller 3. Mike Schaefer 2. And, of course, Brendan Brody in the 98 scores that 1 important stage point. That puts that gap between Brody and Frith up to 7 as we approach stage 3.
Stage 2 done and away out here tonight. 2 stage cautions, 1 incident caution out here from this evening's race in the Miller Motorsports 201 from Kansas Speedway as these drivers begin to make their stage yellow pit stops. We're going to step away for just a moment, get some bills paid here on the CyberThunder Broadcast Network, and we're going to bring you back to racing for stage number 3 in just a moment.
All right, back on track here as we're getting ready to go restart. But real quick, we've got stage 2 winner, Matt Semple, driver of the number 8. You had a very eventful stage 1 going through the grass and trying to claw your way back up. But in stage 2, as the run went on, you had a lot of speed. Those tires were feeling pretty good. Walk us through your plans for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I was trying something there in stage 1 and clearly didn't work there when I started mowing the grass. So I tried to change up my lines for stage 2 and it seemed like I found something.
All right. Love to hear it. Good luck through the rest of the race, and we'll send you back up to the teammates up there as we get ready to get this race going again. Matt Semple, Brad Holmes on the front row, Roy Hill, and Logan Spencer going to be restarting on row 2.
We're going to be restacked and repacked to begin stage number 3. Pace car down and out of the way. And now the intensity wraps up. Stage points are handed out. Now all the drivers looking for the black and white checkered flag in the next 80 laps. But we are green flag racing once again. Matt Semple with a great restart. Brad Holmes going to hold on to second place, but hold on. Here comes Roy Hill III in third, but under pressure from the 89 of Spencer.
Lot of Dyson to be had. It looks like Logan Spencer is going to get the advantage. Maybe not for long. Roy Hill to the inside, and up front, Brad Holmes to the inside of Matt Semple. Are they going to make contact? No, they keep those cars glued to the pavement as Matt Semple gets that run on the outside. Almost contact going down the tri-oval here. Matt Semple's going to have a little more side draft into the corner. Going to plant his car right on the right side of Brad Holmes, but Brad Holmes on that inside might get the advantage. Matt Semple stays glued right there. This is a great battle for P1.
And we've seen these teammates between the 8 and the 0-0 throughout the past couple of races make maybe even more than incidental contact between these two drivers, most recently last week at Gateway.
That's absolutely right. I do believe it was New Hampshire last week that we saw more incidents between these two. But you know, for as good of buddies as they are, for as good of teammates as they aren't afraid to lean on each other here and there, and that's just a product of it. So Matt Semple going to try and get the side draft down into turn 3 and 4. He needs to close that gap. Otherwise, we're going to see what we just see right there. Brad Holmes back to the lead. He's going to give that dirty air to driver number 8 and give himself some breathing room to try and pull a gap right here as we got a battle shaping up for P3.
Position number 3 under fire as Logan Spencer takes a look at the 77 Ford Mustang of Roy Hill III as they try to hold on here. But that battle looks like it's going to start to settle out. Battle now for 4th and 5th and 6th place back here. Jaden Wicks trying to hang on to a top 5 running position, but Gary Miller, driver with issues earlier in the race in that 38 machine, is now running up inside the top 5, and he is now the biggest mover of the night.
That he is, and don't look now, but Brendan Brody in the 98 made his way halfway through the field already. Brendan Brody is going to be up to P5 if he can hold on ahead of Gary Miller back there, as we've got battles all over the track that we're trying to keep up with here. Looks like Brody almost clear, not quite. Heading into turns 3 and 4, will probably be able to get clear of Gary Miller. But Gary's got a real good line around that high side right there, coming out of the corner. Give it to Brody.
And up a little bit, Paxton Frith now up on the outside lane, trying to make a pass on the 98 of, or the 89 of Logan Spencer. These drivers having great side-by-side battles out here, while the good is still good on the good years as they race, working lap number 69 and race battle for the race lead right now. A little bit of contact between the 0-0 and the 8.
A little bit of side drafting contact from the 8, trying to get that advantage on the 0-0. They're going to stay side by side across the line. This time, give it to Brad Holmes, I do believe. He is going to hold him down. Matt's not playing games, but he's going to get a little loose, and that's going to give the advantage to Brad once again. Matt's going to have to push a little harder to get caught back up, but we'll be keeping tabs on that one as this battle back here. Seeing Mike Miller bought some positions to make up after a slow pit stop.
Mike Miller takes a look to the inside, 3 wide through turns 3 and 4. Jaden Wicks, the meat in the sandwich there is now Mike Miller on the inside of his father, of Gary Miller, trying to make a pass for 6th place. Looks like he's going to be able to, as Gary has a moment on the exit on the front stretch there, and Mike is going to be able to hold on to position number 6, but got a whole lot going on to begin stage number 3. Drivers know it's go time.
That they do, and unfortunate news for driver number 21, Paxton Frith, had to make an unscheduled pit stop. Currently sitting 1 lap down and might be 2 before too long, but Paxton Frith just clinging on to playoff hopes at this point. Already buried a little bit, so going to need a miracle through the rest of the race. Back up front with the battle for the lead, Brad Holmes holding steady at about, call it about a quarter of a second or a third of a second ahead of Matt Semple, 2-3 car lengths ahead Matt, we know, is good on that longer run. We know he'll be able to reel in Brad if it goes anything like it did in the last one. So Brad can't rest easy yet, Tom. He's got a mirror full of that 8.
So does it make it? You got to run these races a little bit differently when you are a championship favorite in terms of Matt Semple with 9 wins already this season, and also your teammate is, and the contact that we've seen between these two drivers over the past couple of weeks. Do you race your teammate harder, or like you're all going for a championship in 4 weeks time?
That's absolutely right. And you know, there's two sides to this, as there often is. I think I lean towards the side of, you know, don't use up all of your good grace and goodwill getting to the championship race. You know, if you're going to get into contact, if you're going to get your elbows out a little bit, make it in the championship race, but don't use up all your good fortune, good favor before then, because you never know if you're going to be on the receiving end of it at just the wrong time. So I wouldn't be leaning on teammates as much, but on the other hand, you know, leaning on your teammates and going out there and taking the wins and taking the lead and getting that clean air, controlling these races, that gives you the momentum, and that gives that dents their confidence, which could go a long way in the rest of the playoffs. So I see both sides of it.
And it also drives you to do better, right? It becomes like this little fun little rivalry that you've got going on, that you want to beat your teammate because you know that you're both championship favorites out here. So it's been a very fun battle to watch between Brad Holmes and Matt Semple all season long. But remember, we go to Phoenix with 4 drivers, and it is winner take all.
That it is, and you make a really good point about, you know, battling teammates. But as it sits right now, half a second separates first and second place. Quietly in third at the moment, Logan Spencer has found his way up through that traffic and back up towards the front of this pack, as he was in stage 1, struggled a little in stage 2, but now in stage 3 at the right time has found himself clawing up those positions a little bit more. Right now, just kind of on an island.
Yeah, kind of running, got about a second in front of him, second behind him. But who is not on an island is that 77 of Roy Hill III, as Brendan Brody looks to be the biggest mover of stage number 3. We saw Brendan Brody make a late charge to get some stage points at the end of stage number 2, and now he's looking for 4th place.
He's looking. He's not going to quite get there this time. Roy Hill doing a pretty good job at defending this position. This is the closest battle on track at the moment, the battle for position number 4. And contact! Brendan Brody gets into the 77, and Roy Hill up into the wall. Hard contact through the tri-oval. Caught that one as it was happening. See if we can't queue up a replay right here and watch on board, maybe with driver 89, Brendan Brody. We'll keep it slowed down as we enter the tri-oval right here, but
I think this is one of those cases, Ari, where there's an advantage, there's a strategical advantage to not allowing the outside driver to push you down the track. What the outside driver needs to know is where exactly the inside car is placing their car to possess that strategical advantage. And I think maybe Roy just thought he was going down the track down to the apron below the white line, and that just wasn't the case there.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there, Tom. It's one of those incidents where, you know, you can kind of look at it both ways. Both drivers have fall for different things, but at the end of the day, you know, if you're the car on the bottom, you're at the mercy of the car you know, above you. And if you're the car above you, you've got to be ready for that car on the bottom not to dive down all the way, equally to dive down all the way. And maybe you can use that, but you just got to be a little more aware in those situations of where exactly that driver alongside you is. And we can see the damage on the front end of Roy Hill's Ford Mustang. I do believe he does still have that fast repair, so he'll be able to get that car entirely fixed and ready to go. But he's going to have a lot of battling to do ahead of him if he wants to make up these positions. Yeah,
that is definitely fast repair worthy. As we see the top 3 cars stay out on track, Brad Holmes, Jaden Wicks, Gary Miller stay out on track, but from 4th on back, it's a busy pit road.
That it is, and I like the call to come down on pit road right here. You know, the race isn't quite in the final stretch right now to get you there, but the fresh tires are fresh tires, and I think we're seeing some strategy here. Brendan Brody may be taking 2 tires on that pit stop right there. Going to be exiting the pit lane with a 9.7 second stop for Brendan Brody there. So interesting decisions. The only driver taking 2 tires on that one. Everyone else on 4 fresh, starting with driver number 8, Matt Semple, Logan Spencer, and all the rest. But this puts what is it, about 18 lap difference on tires, Tom? That's
pretty
not
significant.
nothing.
That's pretty significant. 18 laps is going to be noticed on track, and we'll see how this restart goes. But the first car on tires is Brendan Brody in that number 98 Ford Mustang, but Gary Miller now sees that difference, and Gary Miller going to come down on pit road. So now only 2 cars on older tires. Brad Holmes, Jaden Wicks, that's going to be your front row for this restart. So Brendan Brody, Matt Semple going to be the first on 4 fresh good ones.
It's going to be exciting. Row 2 having the fresher tires is a very scary thought if you're Brad Holmes or Jaden Wicks up there. If you're either of those 2 drivers, I think at this point you might just be hoping for a couple quick yellows, maybe, throw some chaos in there, shake things up just a little bit. But, if we go green, if we have a really long green flag run, this is going to be very, very bad for those 2 on the front row.
Yeah, I mean, even if, we talked to Logan Spencer, your pole sitter out here for this evening, and he didn't really give us a fuel window. He said, we'll see how it goes. But, I mean, even if you say that they can run about 40 laps, which I think is pretty exaggerated, they would still need to run about 40 laps before they're in their pit window. It's not like they're going to be in their pit window in the next 5 or 10 laps.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that you're bringing up there. And, well, we're going to get ready to find out here. The front 2 are on old tires. Brendan Brody in 3rd on 2 tires. Matt Semple on 4 in P4. Pace cars off into the restart zone we go. Brad Holmes in control of this race. Slams on the gas pedal and off we go. Another thing to watch out for is the blinking out of that 98. Hopefully it doesn't cause any issues, but something to be mindful of nonetheless.
Brendan Brody, first car on fresh tires as he looks to battle Jaden Wicks off of turn number 2, but Matt Semple on the outside giving a big push, a back bumper massage to the number 9 of Jaden Wicks as they enter into turn number 3. Brad Holmes has opened up just under a half a second race lead over this second place battle that we're seeing right now. Everybody's kind of stuck behind the 9. I say stuck, but Jaden's running his own race out here.
He is running his own race, and both can be true. Both is good. They are stuck behind him, and he is running his own race, and that's just the deal of it. We see Matt Semple dive down to the bottom, tired of running behind that 9. He's got places to go, and Brendan Brody up to second place on those 2 tires. Matt Semple's going to have the advantage of 4 fresh, as will Logan Spencer, but we're going 3 wide, a little further back.
Little further back, 3 wide action, but it's so important, Arie, keeping an eye on the 8 and the 98. It's so important to be the first car on 4 tires because you're going to be the first one to the race leader, and that's going to determine how far you can get ahead before the other cars can. And right now, position given to the 98 of Brendan Brody, but Matt Semple is not going away. Maybe a little bit of contact there.
All these guys going to have to check up. That's going to bring the 24 and the 87 into the picture. Mike Miller, Aiden Shrine going to be looking at this battle for P2 as Brad Holmes is loving this. Brad Holmes on those older tires is not having to battle anyone at the moment. Use that clean air, get out to an advantage. The more that we run, the more these tires equalize. So this has been a great restart for Brad Holmes.
That's about to change here in probably another half a lap, because Matt Semple has cleared and is on his way to the race lead of Brad Holmes right now. Let's take a look at the last time by for Matt Semple and Brad Holmes. See if we can't see the tire difference between that 18 lap difference that you were talking about. Last time by, Matt Semple was about just under 3.5 tenths faster.
Yeah, we're going to see it going down the backstretch here and entering turn 3. I'm sure Matt Semple is going to be taking whatever line Brad doesn't. He's going to have a lot of momentum off of the corner right here. You can see through the center of the corner just how much quicker that dark blue number 8 is into the tri-oval we go. Matt Semple's going to be looking for the race lead.
I will say, though, I did not expect, I know that they raced for position for second place between the 98 and the 8, maybe a little bit longer than they anticipated to, but I didn't expect these 18-lap tires to hold up as well as they did throughout the first 3 or 4 laps of this restart, but now I think we're seeing the effects of it.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is the clean air, and Brad wasn't, battling anyone else like all of the rest of the field was, and we've seen it with Jaden Wicks. He's already down to 8th place after restarting P2 on that restart with the old tires, so I fear for Brad Holmes' race at this point, now that he's kind of lost that clean air. Now he's just getting freight trained on the bottom. We'll see how difficult it's going to be, but right now Matt Semple up to the lead, and Brendan Brody in the 98 up to 2nd place.
Following a battle right now with Aiden Shrine underneath the 0-0 of Brad Holmes as Aiden in that 87 Chevy Camaro going to be making his way around Brad Holmes, and now we see the fall from grace for the 0-0 of Brad Holmes in that red and white Chevy Camaro, going to be next in the clutches of Logan Spencer, our pole sitter, out here this evening. Clicking back a couple of spots out here, taking a look at Paxton Frith and Mike Schaefer. Paxton did go a lap down earlier, got the lucky dog, got the free pass award, and now back in contention as he currently runs in 9th under fire from the 29 of Schaefer.
Still battles all over the track to keep an eye on as Brad Holmes defending P5 at the moment. Logan Spencer with those better tires going to have a huge run of momentum down the backstretch. Going to be able to get that nose to the inside and probably take away another position from Double, who doesn't have to look too much further for the next driver on newer tires to be making his way on up, though. Christopher Pugliese, it looks like, I've got the wrong driver here. Paxton Frith, actually, as a matter of fact, has the same, not the same, kind of in between tires. It looks like Paxton pit on lap 69, whereas Brad Holmes was 61 and all the rest were 79. So interesting spot that Paxton finds himself in right here.
We're seeing a couple of cars come down on pit road. I see Roy Hill with the black flag at the current moment. I'm not sure. Okay, so he is on he's on the apron in 1 and 2 right now. I do believe this is, but he's got a black flag. I think he came down for service and possibly was speeding. So a good night gone bad for the 77.
I think what we'll get a replay right here, but I think it was a slide through the pits, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Here it is for driver 77.
That'll do it.
That'll do it right there. That's an unfortunate night, getting just a little bit worse for Roy Hill, a driver who had potentially race-winning speed at one point.
And it does look like Roy Hill III is coming down pit road to serve that penalty. That's kind of just one of those iRacing things, Arie, where if you slide through pit road, it thinks you're on pit road, it records your speed, and if you're above the posted speed limit, which is probably about 50 miles an hour here, they will give you a black flag for it.
Yep, it's very unforgiving, but that's just the nature of it, and sometimes it bites. Yes, sometimes it bites those you're racing, and unfortunate time for the 77, but across the line this time, we are on lap 94 out of 134. This race drawing towards the final stretch here. I do believe every driver's got to make one more pit stop for fuel before we get to the end, so potentially green flag stops to look forward to.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that, and the driver that I would expect to see first down on pit road would be Brad Holmes and also Jaden Wicks. Brad Holmes and Jaden Wicks both pit on lap 61. So they're working on about 35, give or take, lap tires right now, whereas the rest of the field is working on about 14, 15, 16 lap tires. How many laps can they go on fuel? That's kind of the question that's up in the air that we don't really know before we see the 0-0 Brad Holmes and the 9 of Jaden Wicks come down on pit road, even if it's just for fuel.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'm not sure how long they stretch it, how long they're willing to wait, and I don't know what it's looking like for all the drivers who pit under that caution. Are they close? Can they maybe stretch it, or is it in a position where they have to pit with 10 laps to go? And in that case, do they take tires? Do they just run it down and take a splash? There's a lot of possibilities here.
Well, I mean, we think back to Darlington, where we saw a great battle between Matt Semple and who was the
I
other?
think it
Was
was
it
the
Aiden
98,
Shrine?
was it not?
Maybe it was Brendan Brody, yeah, possibly. Where the race off of pit road, even though they pitted several laps apart, came down to who got the lead on the exit of the pit stops, and in that case, it was Matt Semple. So we could see a very similar situation out here this evening as we approach now just over 30 laps to go in tonight's race.
Taking a look at some of the closer battles that we have on track at the moment. Paxton Frith and Mike Schaefer. This is the battle for P8. Final two on the lead lap as it runs. Christopher Pugliese going to be dragged into this battle as well, as that 42 Chevy Camaro is starting to fall back into the grips of the likes of drivers 21 and 29.
Mike Schaefer, again, did not get any practice laps out here this evening. Qualified last on the board, ran stage 1, mostly outside the top 10, but currently up 4 spots from his qualifying position, in 12th out here this evening. Solid run for when you don't get practice for this 29. We've seen flashes of speed from this 29 over the past several weeks, and Mike Schaefer came into tonight 3rd in the points, so trying to set himself up for a good Roval next week.
Yeah, the Roval next week's going to be a really interesting challenge for these drivers and a really interesting way to start the round of 8. I think it might be a pretty good shakeup for that round and be really good for some drivers and really bad for some others, but that's neither here nor there at the moment. We're watching this battle for P7. Mike Schaefer looks to have the speed advantage over Paxton Frith as we run. Still waiting for drivers to start making their final pit stops, whenever that may be. I would imagine it might come soon. Drivers tend to like nice numbers, and we're on lap number 100 right now, which is a pretty nice number.
Makes it easier for the math, Ari. That's really what it is.
We see Roy Hill trying to claw back one of the laps in which he went down, getting past most of the drivers in the field at the moment. We're watching Brendan Brody, who's got about 2 seconds to the race leader, Matt Semple, who is checked out. And if this race runs green, that's just going to play in to Matt Semple's hands even more. But don't count out Mike Miller yet, Tom. Closing in that gap on Brendan Brody slowly but surely. And, or at the very least, has not let that 98 car get away, as it looks like Brendan Brody going to be the first one to come down.
First one to say, I'm coming down pit road, and who's that? Aiden Shrine behind him, and Chris Pugliese as well. So you got 3 cars for competitive service on pit road out here as Matt Semple, Mike Miller, and Logan Spencer, your current top 3, stay out on track. It's gonna be interesting to see if this brings them down here this lap or the next.
I think if you're Matt Semple, you're going to stay out a little bit longer, and he does. If you're Mike Miller and some of these other guys, you're going to think about it. Mike Miller, Logan Spencer, they're going to stay out. We jump back a little further. Brad Holmes finally electing to come down on the pit road, get service. He was one of the drivers with the oldest tires remaining on track.
So Brad Holmes comes into pit road in 6th place. Again, remember, he had 18-lap older tires to start this stage number 3 recent caution that we did have. As we see now the race leader come down on pit road, a little bit of sideways for Matt Semple as he attempts to get that number 8 car down to pit road speed limit. Got to be 50 miles an hour or lower at that yellow cone, and looks like he is going to be clean and green down pit road. That's going to pass the race lead over tentatively to Mike Miller and Mike Schaefer in 2nd place.
That it is. Interesting call from Mike Miller and Mike Schaefer, staying out a little longer, wanting those fresher tires on the back half of the run, want to be making up some positions. And from what I see from the 24 right here, is he going to pit this time? That entry on the high line kind of told me he wasn't, and no, it looks like Mike Miller going to stay out some more. So one of 2 things going on here, wanting to be the attacking car on that final run to the line, or waiting for that caution, because if you can catch some drivers a lap down and get a free pit stop out of it, well, that would just be a perfect situation for these guys.
Keeping a close eye on the cars that most recently pitted. The top 3 cars out on track right now have not pitted. Miller, Frith, and Schaefer, excuse me, have not yet pitted. 4th place on back, they have pitted. So here is Matt Semple. Now, where is Brody in relation to Semple. Remember, Brody came down 2 laps prior to Matt Semple.
Looks like we've got the gap right here going into turn 1 from onboard Matt Semple. Looking back at Brendan Brody and Aiden Shrine. So Brody undercut by, I think it was about 2 laps at a Matt Semple, but was not able to make that difference. And now Matt Semple's got 2 laps fresher tires than Brendan Brody and the track position, which is only going to compound as this race goes on, assuming there's no more caution.
Yeah, this is setting up good for driver number 8 of Matt Semple, the driver out of Ontario. Setting up good for Matt Semple. Anytime you can win, even when another driver undercuts you, that gives you a feeling like no other, knowing that you came down 2 laps later than the driver behind you, and you've got better tires.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point as we see Paxton Frith in the 21 dive down on to the pit lane. Gonna get it woed down in time, and we are good. So that's one of the remaining drivers who have not yet cycled in. We're just waiting on Mike Miller and Mike Schaefer, the Mike and Mike show, for how long they're gonna stay out. Into turns 1 and 2 we go with Matt Semple. Pass now Paxton Frith up to P3. Going to be taking the effective race lead for once these other 2 have cycled in. We're just waiting on Mike Miller, Mike Schaefer to dive down onto the pit road. 26 laps to go. Mike Miller stays out another time. Mike Schaefer stays out another time. Both of them going to cross the line, make it 25 to go. These 2, I believe, are going to be stretching it all the way out, hoping for that yellow, waiting for something to shake this race up just a little bit. I would come down probably now is the latest I would push it if I'm Mike Miller, Mike Schaefer, and still have a chance to use these new tires to my advantage on the back half of this run. But unless I'm going for that Hail Mary caution, I'm wanting to come down right about now.
Well, and the other thing, Ari, and we've kind of touched on this in previous races that we've seen in the Frigidigi Racing League, if these drivers run long enough, and again, we don't really know how many laps they can go, as we see 24 laps over tonight's race. If they run long enough, all the drivers that just came down 7 or 8 laps ago may consider coming back down. And that would be in that game. They absolutely could.
Yeah, it absolutely would. If there's a caution, it's going to be a beautiful strategy play from the 24 and the 29 respectively. They're also going to catch everyone a lap down, so you know they'll have to take a wave around instead of getting new tires, which is only going to compound the situation.
Does it give you the option to come down pit road if you have the wave around?
If you have the wave around, it's one or the other. You either pit and sacrifice the wave around, or you wave around with 1 to go and you can't pit. So gotcha, interesting conundrum.
Well, Mike Miller is the current race leader. Mike Schaefer about 5.5 seconds back off of current race leader Mike Miller. But Matt Semple makes his way around, not for position, but for position on the track. Matt Semple, last time by for Semple was not overwhelmingly faster than these race leaders. I really thought Matt Semple was going to be maybe 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds faster. He was probably only about 1 second faster than the 2 race leaders. So with 21 laps to go, if I'm Miller and Schaefer, run it out.
Yeah, I'm with you. At this point, there's 21 laps to go. You're running it out, hoping for that yellow, and who knows, maybe even shortening your pit stop, taking 2 tires, or maybe just fuel. I don't know how I feel about just fuel, but 2 tires at the very least could still be a strategy if these guys have run it out and they don't get that caution. Looks like, yep, Mike Miller coming down.
All right, so Mike Miller on pit road this time. Looks like Mike Schaefer is going to follow the 24 in. So now this is tentatively going to pass the race lead.
Oh,
over to Matt
sorry to interrupt
Semple.
you, Tom. We got a speeding penalty for Mike Schaefer, driver of the 29, and we watched him lock it up, getting on pit road. So speeding penalty for the 29. strategy that didn't work going even worse. We're going to switch on over to Matt Semple in the 8, as you were saying. Going to be taking over the race lead here through 3 and 4.
Yeah, and the penalty for speeding on pit road in iRacing is debilitating. I believe in most scenarios, it is a 40-second hold on pit road. So expect to see Mike Schaefer on pit road for an extended period of time, as he's currently sitting in his pit box for 24, 25 seconds, 26 seconds, and counting.
I tell you what, Tom, driver 24, 11-second pit stop. That tells me 2 tires was the call for Mike Miller in the 24. He comes out P6, and he doesn't have 4 fresh tires, but he does have fresh tires where it counts the most on the right side. Oh, but that's not going to help.
Oh,
Cold tires and comes
watch
back
out,
up.
Jaden.
Oh, my God. Wow. I can't believe that. I cannot believe that. Wow. All right. Well, let's see if we can follow on board here. Mike Miller, the 24. Yeah, that is wow. I don't even know if you're Jaden Wicks and you come in onto the front stretch, you see this. I don't know. If you're the 24, if you're Mike Miller, in my opinion, Tom, it's your responsibility not to have that happen. To keep your car down there, not to come back up into traffic to lock down those brakes.
Now, and to Mike Miller's credit here, Arie, you're on cold tires, and once you hit the grass, you have no grip whatsoever. I personally have had it happen to me as well, where once you get in the grass, you're just kind of along for the ride, and whichever way the car wants to go, the car is going to go. Now, that being said, you know, there is still control over which way the car is pointed, maybe just not traction.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Well said on that one. We can see the left front fender on that 24 just along for the ride, barely hanging on. That right front tire is just going crazy at the moment. I do believe the 24 car still got that fast repair to be able to use here, so we'll see if he can get back into this. But all of our race leaders are on pit road. They're all going to reset, and we're going to have a nice little run to the finish here.
So I believe this is going to be our 3rd contact caution of the evening, as everybody comes down on pit road. Looks like Brennan Brody, possibly with the 2-tire strategy on the exit of pit road, going to take the race lead. Matt Semple 2nd off of pit road. Brad Holmes 3rd. Aiden Shrine 4th. And your pole sitter, Logan Spencer, comes out in 5th place through this round of yellow flag pit stops.
Yeah, 2 tires is the call for new race leader. Whoa, new race leader Brendan Brody in the 98. That was a 9-second pit stop, 9.8 seconds. You're not going to get 4 tires in that time on the sim here at the very least. So 2 tires for Brendan Brody, 4 tires for all the rest. Now, these drivers hadn't run all that long on those tires since that green flag pit stop. It was a fair distance, but it wasn't long enough to make 2 tires a bad call, I don't think, Tom, especially with what we saw earlier on in the race with the likes of Brad Holmes and Jada Wick staying out on 4 old tires. And, you know, Brendan Brody took 2 tires on that caution as well, and it worked out pretty well. So I think this is a good call.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, by the time we go back green right now, drivers clicking across lap number 118. So by the time we go back green, we're going to be seeing a green flag with about 13, maybe 14 laps to go. They just came down on pit road, what, maybe 9 laps ago or so. I like this for the 98, even if it's just for the sole reason that now the 98 is the control car on this restart. Now, maybe the only thing I might have done differently is take the outside lane and put the teammates against each other between the 8 and the 0-0.
Well, consider this, Tom. He might have put the teammates against each other by picking the bottom line. What he's going to do is he's going to give Brad Holmes a great opportunity to get alongside the 8 of Matt Semple going into turn 1. And if he can get those two battling side by side, I'm pretty sure he's even seen it earlier in this race. That is a recipe for success if he's out front and he gets to pull that gap.
You're a lot more likely to put somebody that's not your teammate 3 wide, though, on this restart. So we're going to find out together here on the CyberThunder Broadcast Network, as we have got just a handful of laps remaining from the Miller Motorsports 201. Green flag back out. Brendan Brody first on the loud pedal, and he's going to pull away by about a car length. And here comes Brad Holmes on the inside lane down into turn number 1.
Down into turn 1, but with no help. Matt Semple got that great push from Aiden Shrine in the 87. Through turns 1 and 2 we go. Brendan Brody a little slow through the corner. Brad Holmes going to have some momentum, gets a little loose, but he's going to look to the inside. Matt Semple as well, trying to get to the bottom, going to give Double a push into the corner. Brendan Brody up on the wall. He's going to have the momentum, and we're 3 wide for the race lead.
3 wide for the race lead coming out as we see 14 laps to go at the stripe this time from Kansas Speedway. Brendan Brody, your race leader, Brad Holmes in second, but for how long? Brendan Brody under fire from the fresh tires of 0-0, and it looks like they're going to race side by side off of 2, but halfway down the backstretch here, Brendan Brody still hangs on to the air advantage into turn number 3.
That he does. He's trying to hold out on the high side right there, but while these tires are fresh, the bottom line is dangerous. Brendan Brody's got to be careful not to get up too comfortable on that high side this early in the run. You gotta do some pinching. You gotta get your car down there. We see him finally doing that now. He's gonna try and get that side draft going. He can't do it. Brad Holmes is gonna clear for the race lead on 4 fresh tires. His next big challenger would be Matt Semple, who's stuck in 3rd at the moment.
Second place is Brendan Brody, but for the time being, here comes Semple down to the inside line, trying to take second place away and set sights on the race leader of Brad Holmes. Matt not able to clear as they cross the line. Give us 12 laps to go from tonight's race.
12 to go down into turns 1 and 2. Matt Semple in the 8 on the inside of Brendan Brody in the 98, trying to take that spot away. They're still side by side. Brendan Brody's able to fight these guys off now. If only he could have held Brad Holmes up a little bit longer. These tires are just going to equalize, and that's going to play into Brendan Brody's hands just a little bit. Now, Brad Holmes and Matt Semple on either side of that Brendan Brody sandwich are on 4 fresh tires, so Brendan's not in a great spot, but as these laps tick by, he gets a little more comfortable each time.
Brendan Brody now able to hold about a half a car length lead over Matt Semple. Second and third place, that's what we're looking at right now. The lead has opened up for Brad Holmes in the 0-0 Chevy Camaro of about half a second, and that's what Matt Semple is trying to get around the 98 to set his sights on the race lead, as we've got a battle starting to shape up at back here between the 77-42 and the 29 as well.
Saw a little glimpse of 3 wide between these drivers a little further back in the pack. Looks like they get it all sorted out, and we jump back on with the battle for P2. Brendan Brody and Matt Semple, the 98 and the 8. It'll be interesting to see how these two manage to race around each other, and how Brad Holmes is able to take advantage of this. You know, can Brad Holmes use this opportunity to pull away, to pad that gap, to get himself in a comfortable spot? I think if you're the 0-0, you've got to assume that it's only a matter of time before Matt Semple clears that 98, and when Matt Semple clears that 98, you better be running.
He doesn't have a whole lot of time to do it, though, Arie. We're working 8.5 laps to go this time by. We're going to see 8 laps to go once Brad gets to the line. If he's going to have a chance at catching Brad, being 0.7 of a second back, and then also passing him, he needs to get around him in this next lap.
Yeah, I would agree. Matt Semple is running out of time very quickly. He's got to make something happen. As we jump back here to a battle for P4, it's going to be Logan Spencer on the inside, Aiden Shrine on the outside, and Mike Miller involved in that last caution, creeping back up into the picture slowly but surely, not giving up on a top 5 just yet.
Logan Spencer still working over the 87 of Aiden Shrine. This is a battle for 4th place out here tonight, as Mike Miller, who we just saw have a big incident a handful of laps ago, back into contention for a top 5 running position out here tonight. But now a crossover from the 87. Here comes Aiden Shrine. Put the 87 up to 4th place. As looks like Brendan Brody and Matt Semple are. It looks like maybe it's just the connection issues there that's making it look like they're a little bit closer than they are between the 98 and the 8.
Well, I tell you what, speak it into existence, that 8's got to run on the 98 down the backstretch. He's not going to be there just yet, but if he can put together another good corner, he's getting to the inside. Is there going to be contact? It looked for a moment like there might have been, but off of turn 4 we go. Matt Semple just stuck behind that 98. He can't go anywhere. Brad Holmes' lead has ballooned up to about a second, just under a second, as he continues to run away and look for that white flag.
This time by, Brad Holmes sees a high 5 over to Speedway, as he's got about a 3/4 of a second lead over 2nd place Brendan Brody, and then about a 2nd lead over 3rd place Matt Semple. But all eyes, this battle for 2nd place right now between the 98 and the 8. Again, Brendan Brody and Matt Semple both getting into the wall on the outside turn number 4 there just a little bit, as they come across the stripe to see 4 laps to go. I think time is running out and the window is closing for Matt Semple here.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. As Matt looks to the outside, gets a little loose. He's going to go to the inside. Is he there? Does he have the nose? He's going to try and get it there on entry. Not going to quite get there. He's going to give a bump to the 98. There goes the 98 of Brendan Brody. Spins to the inside. Is it going to bring out a yellow? No, we stay green. And Brendan Brody onto pit road with that spin right there. A little help from the 8, maybe a little frustration. Maybe didn't intend to spin him all the way around, but regardless, that's Brendan Brody spun out onto the pit lane, and Matt Semple comfortably in 2nd, but now that lead is ballooned out to about 2 seconds.
This time by, Brad Holmes going to see the popsicle sticks over the Speedway as Brendan Brody continues down pit lane at pit road speed, as Brendan falls from 2nd place down to 9th place on the board out here tonight. But Brad Holmes and Matt Semple making their way around here with just 3 miles of racing to go.
Onto the backstretch we go. Matt Semple's already closed in about 2/10, but he's just out of time. Just a little out of time, and Brendan Brody merges back on to the track with all the field. Now 1 lap down as we run. Cross the line we go. 2 laps to go. Make it 1 lap to go. White flag is in the air for Brad Holmes.
This time by, Brad Holmes comes through and he tries to set his sights, make the roval easier for Brad Holmes in that 0-0 Chevy Camaro. Brad Holmes looking to get his first win in the round of 16 and 12 out here tonight. But from Kansas Speedway, click your heels 3 times, Brad Holmes. You're moving on to the round of 8.
There we have it, everyone across the line to round out tonight's event in Kansas. And Brad Holmes, our big winner, Mr. Double-Double in the 0-0, gets it done, finds himself in the right place at the right time to capitalize on everything. Oh, bit of frustration there from the 98 to the 8. Saw a big bump going down the backstretch right there, and maybe some words between those two after the race tonight.
Difficult position to be in, Arie, as Brad Holmes does his victory donuts out here, and he's going to tap the outside retaining wall with that rear spoiler. But difficult position for Matt Semple to be in with better tires and not a whole lot of opportunity to make his way around the 98.
Yeah, you're right with that one, and sometimes that's just how these races go. You get a shakeup, and the fastest driver doesn't win. But this is why you try to be the driver who puts yourself in the right position, even on days where you're not the fastest car, because this is exactly the types of situations that will present themselves to you. And just as equally as you can lose them when you're the fastest driver, you can pick them up like Brad Holmes did here tonight in Kansas.
Well, as Brad Holmes, the smoke settles at the start-finish line. I believe we've got our podium finishers out here tonight. Let's see if we can't grab our race winner out here tonight, Brad Holmes in the 0-0.
All right, we've got our race winner, Brad Holmes, Mr. Double-Double in the 0-0, getting the job done here at Kansas. You know, it looked like early on in the race you might have had the car to beat, but, you know, Matt Semple gets the clean air, and it looks like he just had something figured out on those long runs. But I tell you what, Brad, just as easily as you can lose these races as the fastest car, you can find yourself in a position to steal one, and it looked tonight like you were able to go out there and just kind of steal one in that last run.
Yeah, that's I knew Matt felt like I had the strongest car when he followed me into pit there, because he was gonna be wants to be off sequence every time he thinks I'm faster. So I knew that's what he was doing, and then he followed me in right after, and I knew I was in trouble then. So I am thanking the race gods for that last caution for sure.
Absolutely, that was definitely a big change up, big shuffle to what was going on, and just kind of walk us through, you know, the approach going into the round of 8 here. Now that you've won Kansas, you've got 4 races left on the season, 4 to 5 races, whatever it comes out to, and you know it's the final stretch. It's now or never for the championship. We've seen, you know, Matt hit the ground running right before the playoffs and into the playoffs. You've kind of stepped up and matched that speed in a lot of ways, and it really looks like that season-long rivalry is going to continue to play out. So what's your mindset moving forward?
Yeah, I'm super thankful to have gotten this one done. I felt like I had a pretty strong car last week, and kind of got myself into some trouble and had a run in with the 98 there. So being able to not stress at the Roval is pretty nice, because I think we've seen over the course of the season my road course prowess is not there. A lot of the tracks in the round of 8 I'm feeling pretty confident at. I won the Vegas Spring race and the Spring Martinsville race, so nice to just kind of put my focus on those 2 races and look to get my bid into the final 4. And yeah, you mentioned that friendly rivalry. I was wondering how long it was going to take for Matt and I to kind of upgrade that friendly rivalry to maybe a more intense one, and 30 weeks is the answer. We disagreed on a few things tonight, and I'm sure he'll have lots to say when he gets up with you guys, but yeah, just kind of focus on those 2 tracks and get myself into the championship. It's nice to not have to worry about the Roval.
Absolutely great weight lifted off your shoulders. Well, congratulations on the win tonight in Kansas, Brad. I'm going to open up the floor to you to give any shout outs, thank yous, anything of the sort.
Yeah, first of all, as always, thanks to you two for coming on and doing the broadcast. Love being able to go back and watch it, especially when you have a night like this. Last week it's a little but tougher to watch. Sauble Speedway's on the car as always. That's my place of employment in real life. So shout out to them. And shout out to all the admins and Jaden for putting on the league. It's a ton of fun to come out here on Wednesday nights and kill a night doing this, and it's been a lot of fun. 30 weeks in, and I'm really looking forward to the next 4 or 5, whatever we got left. So that's about all I got.
All right, well, there's your race winner, Mr. Double-Double in the 0-0. And I believe that brings us to our P2 finisher. I think Tom is caught up with driver number 8.
It does bring us to our second place finisher. Finishing second out on the board out here tonight is Matt Semple. Matt, you come home just 1 spot short of another win out here tonight, win number 10 on the season. It's going to have to wait until next week at the Charlotte Roval. Matt, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm pretty good. How are you guys?
We are doing all right, and looked like you had kind of an up and down night. We saw you through the grass, in the lead, in the back. At the end of the night, you come home with the podium finish.
Yeah, it was up and down there. Like I kind of said the mid-race interview there, it was stage 1. I thought I had the line figured out, and I guess I had too loose of a setup for that line. So stage 2, I kind of figured more stuff out there, and yeah, we had good speed tonight. I think that last caution definitely hurt us there. I think if it would have went green to the end, I think we were in a really good spot to win the race. But that's the way racing goes, and glad with the P2.
That's the way racing goes, and obviously on that last caution there, we saw a little bit of different tire strategies between you and specifically the 98 with a handful of laps to go. A little bit of contact between you and the 98. Maybe any sort of frustrations there building between you and older tires in front of you?
No, I don't think so. Brendan and I really haven't had a problem. I mean, we raced each other hard there last week at New Hampshire, and you know, there was bumping and grinding going on, and we were both good after the race there. I think the main thing is just his internet is so in and out there. I didn't really know where he was, and then he was gone, and then coming out of 4, he was spinning. So I guess that's on me, but I didn't know where he was.
Well, Matt Semple, we know you're good to the round of 8. We take a look at Las Vegas, Talladega, Martinsville. How do you feel about your chances of continuing your championship hopes and making it all the way to Phoenix?
I think if we just keep clicking off good races, I mean, obviously winning is the goal, but if we can get second, third place finishes, good stage points, I don't see why we shouldn't make it into the round of 4. So definitely a guy, and I got Martinsville circled for sure. Obviously Talladega is a wild card there, but yeah, we're feel good at all 3 tracks coming up into the next round there, so we'll just focus on getting good finishes and making our way to Phoenix.
Well, it's been a lot of fun to watch you over here over the past 6 months or so here in the Frigidigi Racing League, and as we continue the playoffs out here this evening with Kansas out of the way, Matt, we're going to open up the floor for anybody you want to thank. Say hello to on the side of that number 8 Chevy Camaro, finishing second out here tonight at Kansas.
And thanks to you two for doing the broadcast. It's always great to go back and watch it. Thanks to my friends and family for watching, my coworkers. Shout out Tim. I know he's watching tonight. And I'd just like to thank my smoking hot wife and my daughter for letting me do this.
Always got to get those in. Matt Semple comes home second out here tonight, and our third place finisher, I believe my co-host, Arie Heinzman, has got Aiden Shrine, driver 87.
That I do. Coming up in third place tonight, a very quiet third place for driver 87, Aiden Shrine in that Red Bull Chevy Camaro. It was a race in which you found yourself in the hornet's nest for pretty much the entirety of it, Aiden, from start to finish. And by the time the dust settled, you found yourself kind of at the front of that and able to walk away with the podium. So just kind of walk us through your race and how you found yourself there.
Yeah, it was definitely a struggle at the beginning. I was just wearing out my stuff, getting into the wall. So I was really struggling the first couple stages, didn't get any stage points, but towards the end I was just saving my tires and slowly getting back up, and then that caution, the last caution, I was able to get a good restart and then get up there, so yeah.
Absolutely, that's how it works sometimes. You just got to figure out the race as it goes. And I'll tell you what, Aiden, we're going to the Roval next week, and you know, it's no small secret here in the Frigidigi Racing League that you got to watch out for that 87 whenever we go to a road course. So it's going to be a great opportunity, I think, for you headed into the round of 8. A good opportunity to get you in there and kind of give you that momentum moving forward. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be in a little bit of a points hole, a little bit, but yeah, I think it's going to be a good race. I like the track, so hopefully I can get a good points day and then maybe get some bonus points.
All right, sounds like a plan. We look forward to watching you at the Roval next week in that 87 machine. I'm going to open up the floor to you, Aiden. Any shout-outs, thank yous, any of the sort that you want to give out?
Just thank you to you guys hosting the live stream. I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's about it.
All right, well, there's our P3 finisher, Aiden Shrine, in the 87. And with that, Tom, that is another race done here in the Frigidigi Racing League playoffs, and we are one step closer to crowning a champion.
Another race done and Kansas out of the way, and now we've got a very different style of racing next week at the Roval. Drivers going into the Roval, I mean, points very tentative right now because we're doing them just mentally right now, but I think we're going to see Aiden Shrine in a must-win, Paxton Frith in a must-win, and after finishing 9th out here tonight, I think Brendan Brody may find himself outside the cut line, so we'll see how the points shake out. But as we make our way out of Kansas, all right, we saw a great race out here tonight.
That we did. We saw quite the event tonight. That was a good showing, and looking forward to the second half of the playoffs, as I think this did mark the halfway mark through it. We've got some interesting storylines to follow along that rivalry between the top 2 finishers from tonight's race. That's bubbling up and heating up and getting as hot as ever. So going to be looking forward to seeing how that plays out next week in the Roval and onward. But we've got our final results here from the Kansas Speedway this evening. We've got Brad Holmes, your winner, Mr. Double-Double in the 00, coming home ahead of Matt Semple in the 8. Finishing out the podium, Aiden Shrine, third driver we talked to a minute ago. Logan Spencer in the 89 comes home with a solid 4th, and Mike Miller in the 24 recovers to a very respectable 5th place run.
And on the outside of the top 5 looking in is Roy Hill III. Had a very strong Stage 1 and Stage 2. Comes home in 6th place as Mike Schaefer comes home in 7th place out here tonight. Chris Pugliese and Brendan Brody come home in 8th and 9th, followed by Gary Miller in that number 38. Had issues for that driver early in tonight's race. And the field of 12 is rounded out by Jaden Wicks and Paxton Frith as we conclude tonight's race.
There it is, halfway done with the playoffs, Tom. I tell you what, I'm looking forward to the second half of the playoffs, but more than anything, I'm really excited for that Martinsville race. It might be chaos, it might be pandemonium, but I got that one circled if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could make a case for any of those three, right? You've got a short track in Martinsville, you've got the super speedway at Talladega, and then you've got a track very similar to this at Las Vegas to make up the round of 8 before we become a round of 4 at Phoenix Raceway in just a couple of weeks' time. But, well, I guess we're going to make our way out of Kansas Speedway out here tonight as the fans begin to make their way down the stands, back to their cars. And I guess next week, Arie, we're going to be taking a trip out west to Chicagoland on Tuesday night here on the CyberThunder Broadcast
Out
Network.
west?
Yeah, west enough. I live in I live in Pennsylvania. That's west of me. And then we're going to be back next week from Charlotte, from the Roval, from the Friggy Diggy Racing League.
Sounds like a good time. Little good mix to try. Chicagoland and the Charlotte Roval. Looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun, and well, we're gonna keep up this this intermediate track style.
Hey, if everybody enjoyed tonight's race, make sure you click that like button, click that subscribe button, get notified every time Arie and I go live here on the CyberThunder Broadcast Network. Follow along all the racing action that we do here on Tuesday and Wednesday nights here, and if next week is half as good as this, it's going to be a great race.
That it will.
You closed me out on an awkward bait there. I was like, I wasn't sure how to respond back to that.